Hello everybody and welcome back for another match for RBL Season 6. This is Week 3, and we are playing the Sin City Sableyes, coached by Drew, aka FTSS. This is the fifth meeting between the two of us. We played twice back in Season 2, once Season 3, and once in Season 4. We did not play last season, but we are back now, our fifth matchup. Which is cool. So he's the person I've played the most. So I do like knowing that this is someone it feels familiar, it feels nice, someone who I know how they battle, and I feel like the two of us, we're just going to have a good match because we've both battled each other so many times. But I'm going to go over my team, which is of course the one right on this side of the screen, the one closer to the screen, at least that appears closer on the screen. It's really not closer, but, you know, the one's on the bottom of the screen. Anyway, the first thing we have is the Mantine. This Mantine is holding leftovers. It has Water Absorb, of course, and it has max HP, 196 defense, and 60 special defense with a careful nature. So the job of this is take as much damage from anything pretty much as possible. So anything that it can take damage from, trying to limit it, specifically Scizor or Kieran Black, the big things. Of course, Kieran Black has that great thing called that electric move that I can't remember the name of, and that's really kind of annoying me. Whatever. That's not important. It is, but it's got Scald, Toxic Roost, and Defog, which is nice. Especially seeing that he has the Ariados this week and the Diancie, both which can set up hazards. It's nice to be able to get rid of them in the event that I have to. Then we have Mimikyu with Life Orb. Of course, it has Disguise. It's Jolly Nature with Play Rough, Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, and Swords Dance. With max attack, max speed, and 4 defense. So, it's an offensive set, pretty obviously, meant to deal as much damage as possible. It has a pretty good matchup if I can get some Swords Dances up. Once Scizor's gone, and once Diancie's gone, mainly. If Diancie's not as big of a deal, Scizor's the big problem, so we can go to Scizor. Mimikyu does a lot more. Then we have Tapu Koko. It's an Expert Belt Tapu Koko, with 24 HP, 252 special attack, and 232 speed with a modest nature. So 232 speed is in there. That allows me to outspeed, I believe, anything that isn't Scarfed, I believe. So then I have max special attack, and the leftover goes into HP, because that's what you do with your leftovers. You always dump it into HP. And Tapu Koko has Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Hidden Power Fire, and Dazzling Gleam. Just looking at this, you can see Hidden Power Fire is useful for Scizor, for Ariados, but also Drew has Delmise, so I was a little worried that Delmise could come, potentially. I don't think he was too worried about me setting up hazards, and I don't think he was too worried about he wasn't really too worried about anything that it could really deal with, so that's his decision. I'm not going to judge it, but that's one reason why I did Hidden Power Fire. I mainly brought it because I want it to be able to deal better with Sableye, and it's fast, so it can hit anything that isn't Scarfed, which is always nice. He does have the Electivire, of course, so Volt Switching is not free until the Electivire is gone, but that's that. Next we have Heatran with leftovers. Of course, has Flash Fire. It says max special attack, and then 236 HP and 20 speed with a modest nature. So it's meant to hit hard. It can take some hits, of course. It's got 236 HP, which is pretty good. That's only there, though, because 20 speed is all needed. I don't remember what it was to outspeed. I'm trying to see. I don't believe. It's Scizor. That's what it's Scizor. Yeah. In case he tries to do a little bit of speed creeping, the minimum speed one, then Heatran can outspeed a little bit. So that's that. With Stealth Rock, Fire Blast, Flash Cannon, and Earth Power. Stealth Rocks are nice. The only thing, it hits Ariados super effective, and hits Kieran super effective. Ariados probably won't stick around for very long. Ariados is usually a lead, So we'll see what happens with that. But if I can get rocks up, that would be nice. He also has the Mega Sableye, so I'd be wary of that as well. Then I have Baby Luigi the Reuniclus with Leftovers and Regenerator, max HP, max special defense, and 4 special attack, with Psychic, Focus Blast, Recover and Shadow Ball, and a Modest Nature. This is really my bulkiest thing. The problem with this team this week is I don't have Patrick, who helped me out with this team. Gotta send out huge shout out to Patrick. He really, really, really did a lot for me this week. He didn't have to, but he helped me. Alan's Co. also helped me as well, somewhat with some of the stuff that he told me to bring. That kind of helped me focus where the team would be. But Patrick basically said that he was worried about Special Kieran Black, that it really did a lot to my team. So he was really more worried about that than physical Kieran Black. That's why it might look like my team is not very physically defensive. Kieran Black gets so much coverage. It's such a good Pokemon. If you're in a Z-move in that thing, dude, it's broken. But, whatever. Reuniclus is there to be able to Focus Blast, then Psychic, and get a kill. That's its job. And then lastly, we have Sneck, the Superior, making his debut this season. It has the Dragonium Z. Of course, it has Contrary, has 252 special attack, 240 speed, and 16 HP with a timid nature. And Leaf Storm, Dragon Pulse, Hidden Power Fire, and Substitute. Hidden Power Fire, same reason the Tapu Koko had it, but that's also mainly because of Scizor is an easy switch in, which is always nice. And the Dragonium Z is really just for anything, except for Diancie. But if he wants to switch something in that would take not a lot of damage, like Kieran Black would not take a lot from a Leaf Storm. Of course, you wouldn't want to do it. He's whatever. But it's there for if I need it to do a lot of damage. If I can get the +2 with the Leaf Storm as well, that would be wonderful. But I'm going to look at his team, and I'm going to think, really, my best lead option is Heatran, because if he leads off with Diancie to set up rocks, I scare that out. If he leads off with Ariados to set up webs or Toxic Spikes or whatever, I hopefully scare that out. And if he leads off with the Sableye, well, then I can switch out. It depends on what I want to do, but I feel like it's my best lead at this point, so I'm going to lead off with the Heatran and do what I can. He's going to lead off with his Ariados. I'll lead off the Heatran. I'm expecting him to switch out, but I'm going to click Fire Blast because it's good damage, and I actually miss. He's going to set up his Sticky Webs. I'm going to go for another Fire Blast. Seeing that this is a Focus Sashed Ariados, he's going to set up some Toxic Spikes. This turn, I'm going to realize he's not planning on switching out, so I'm going to set up my own Stealth Rocks as he goes for the Sucker Punch, and I'm just going to go for the KO on this turn as I KO with the Flash Cannon. So it's off to an early 6-5 lead for the Ravias. He brings in the Electivire, which I was really worried here because my potentially could have Earthquaked or something, but I'm going to switch out because I feel like he's going to go for the Earthquake, and he goes for the Volt Switch, which is just not great. I switched in when I didn't need to, basically. He's going to bring in the Sableye. Obviously, I can't stand against the Sableye, so I'm going to switch into Mantine to Defog because I know Mantine can come in safely. Won't be affected by any of these hazards. Sableye's going to come in and go for the Confuse Ray. I'm going to be confused, break through, and go for the Defog to get rid of the hazards on my side. Now that he can't set them back up, he's going to Calm Mind, which is not cool. So I'm going to hurt myself in Confusion this turn as he goes for the Dark Pulse. Does very little damage, which shows him that I have special defense investment. My Confusion is going to end, and I'm going to Scald to go for the Burn if possible. Don't get it there. He's going to Calm Mind again, which is very, very, very worrying. So I'm going to Scald once more. No Burn again. He's going to go for the Confuse Ray again. I figure he might go for another Calm Mind here, so I switch out, because the only move I've seen is Dark Pulse, and he's going to actually Calm Mind. So, I wanted to lower it, because I knew Play Rough would do enough. At that point, it did enough to KO. I'm going to go for the Play Rough and do 20% as he switches into the Scizor. I'm going to take some Life Recoil, and I'm going to switch out immediately after that and bring in Mantine, because Mantine actually can really, really, really deal with the Scizor. So, go for the U-turn. Is he bringing the Kieran Black? I don't really have much for the Kieran Black, so I'm going to switch out into the Reuniclus, which is the only thing I really have. That not even this wants to take a hit. As the Fusion Bolt comes through, that's the move I was thinking of. It does 46%, which is a ton of damage. He knows he's not going to KO this turn, so he's going to switch out. He's going to bring in Mega Sableye, and I should have gone for the Recover here, but I went for the Focus Blast. That was just a misplay on my part. One of the ones that sticks out in my mind, but I should have gone for the Recover there, didn't. I'm going to switch out and bring in Tapu Koko, because I know that his options are not great with the Sableye. He's going to go with the Confuse Ray, though, and I'm going to hurt myself in my Confusion once. He's going to Recover. I'm going to go for the Dazzling Gleam again, hurt myself twice. He's going to go for the Dark Pulse, does 19%, does very little damage. My Confusion's going to end. I'm going to Dazzling Gleam. It's going to leave the Sableye at 83% as he goes for the Calm Mind on this turn to try to boost himself up. But now he can't. He's low. He's going to have to switch out. I'm going to Dazzling Gleam again on the Scizor. I considered Volt Switching here, but I figured you're probably going to Bullet Punch, and I should just switch out instead and bring in the Mantine, because Mantine's very, very nice. But he actually U-turns, which would have actually benefited him even still. It doesn't really matter. It would have been damage, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to switch out now, and I'm going to bring in Reuniclus. Reuniclus isn't really going to be able to do much here, so that's why I should have recovered, because I could have then been here for another turn, but I'm going for 2 Fusion Bolts and get rid of the Reuniclus, and it's now 5-5, but this gives me the ability to go into Heatran, because I think at this point that he might be choiced, and I find out right here that he's definitely choiced, because if he wasn't choiced, he would have stayed in and gone for the Earth Power, or something else. He would have probably stayed in. Now, maybe it was risky, but I figured at that point he's probably choiced. But I'm going to bring in Serperior as he brings in Electivire, and I see he switches out, so I think he might be choiced as well. I go for the Substitute, predicting the Scizor to come in. The Scizor is going to be able to, though, break the sub immediately with the Bullet Punch, but Hidden Power Fire can come through and get rid of the Scizor, so it is now 5-4 in my favor. He's going to bring in Electivire. Don't know what he's going to want to go for. He's going to go for the Ice Punch. They are confirming that he's Scarfed because he outsped my Serperior, so I now believe he has 2 Scarfers. This, of course, shows even further, as I then go for the Earth Power, which can get rid of the Sableye. So it's now 4-3 in my favor, and he is going to bring in the Electivire. Clearly, he's going to have Earthquake, so I'm going to make the switch that I think makes the most sense, going to Mantine, predicting the Earthquake, and he's actually going to Volt Switch, and I'm going to live the Volt Switch! And I was like, what? If I live the Volt Switch, he's going to go into Diancie, which I think was a bad play, because I think I would have gone into Kyurem Black, which you know outspeeds and can KO. I'm going to Roost on this Diancie. I almost scalded, but I decided, you know what, let me Roost, get my health back up, and then I'm going to Scald, and I see the Diamond Storm did less than the health that I was going to be at now, and then I burn the Diancie, which is nice. But he's going to set up his Stealth Rocks. My HP is at a good enough point that I can live any hit that he wants to go for at this point and outspeed, so I'm going to Defog to get rid of the rocks on my side. He's going to Moonblast this time, so I'm going to do 20%, does even less than what the Diamond Storm did, but I'm still going to Roost because he can go for the Diamond Storm this turn, even though he is burned, and it'll do less damage. I don't want to risk taking it. It does only 15%, so it's the burn really came in big there for living this, and I'm just going to go for the Scald now and just try to whittle this Diancie down and eventually get rid of it. So it's not too long of a stally bit, but he realizes that he's not going to be able to get up rocks because I'm just going to immediately defog and he'll eventually die because of the burn. And we're going to get the Scald KO on the Diancie, so it's now 4-2 in the Ravia's favor. But he still has 2 huge offensive threats left. So he's going to bring in the Kyurem Black, go for the Earth Power. I chose to stay in. I figured, why switch out? I'm going to Roost up. There's no reason to switch out because I don't need Mantine anymore. He's going to bring in the Electivire as I go for the Toxic. So the Electivire is going to get Toxic. He's going to go for the Volt Switch. Still not going to KO the beautiful, beautiful Mantine as he brings in now Kyurem Black on my Scald. And I'm hoping to get the burn here, but I do not get the burn. So he's going to be able to KO Mantine here with a Fusion Bolt, which he does do. But knowing that the move he went for was Fusion Bolt, I can go into Tapu Koko, who can take the hit, will not die from it, and I can Dazzling Gleam safely as he brings in the Electivire. The Dazzling Gleam is going to leave the Electivire at 4%, but the Toxic will KO it. So Mantine taking up a second KO thanks to the Toxic, and now he's going to bring in his Scarfed Kyurem Black and go for the Earth Power, which will KO the Tapu Kokos. Tapu Koko still has no KOs yet this season. As I now bring in Mimikyu, who is going to be able to live 1 Earth Power, hit it with the Play Rough, and then kill with a Shadow Sneak. And for those of you who don't know the way Terravolt works, which is Kyurem Black's ability, it's basically just Mold Breaker. So if you saw the disguise not break and you saw me just immediately take damage, that is because Kieran Black has Terravolt, which acts as Mold Breaker. Someone in the during the match was not aware of that immediately. So that is going to be the Ravias' first win of the season, picking up a 2-0 victory over Drew. Good game, Drew. I actually really enjoyed this game. This is actually one of my favorite matches we've had. Usually the matches are not this close. Usually it's one-sided or it's very, very quick. I believe our first match ever was like 25 turns. It was week 1. This was my first match ever in Season 2. It was like a 25-turn match, 1-0 win in my favor. It was a super, super, super quick, super, super short match. It wasn't really like any kind of crazy, fun, exciting match. Then our second match was not that close. Our third match wasn't that close. Our fourth match wasn't close. This one was a close match. It was a fun match. It was a good match. I think it shows that both of us have evolved as battlers. Both of us have gotten better since the beginning. And also, I think Drew is a very terrifying team in terms of the offensive capabilities of it. His team is very, very threatening on the offensive side. And the pairing of Scizor and Kieran Black is really, really deadly, plus with the Mega Sableye there, which is really, really nice as well. And I also really, really, really like Diancie with Kieran Black, because I think Diancie is one of the best stops to Kieran Black. Now, obviously, Kieran Black has Earth Power, but it's not Stab, and you can run a set that makes it so you're better with that. I don't know if it gets a Steel Move or not. I don't believe it does, but I think it's a very, very good pairing, which is cool. But I do really like Drew's team. I think Drew has a very good team. I think his team, in terms of offensive capability, is very, very good. A couple places where I want to kind of mention misplays on either end. Leading off with Ariados and then letting me defog with Mantine was kind of a weird thing. He brought a Pokemon to set up all this stuff, and then he tried to play around it, but then after I KO'd it, he brought in, Electivire, I think is what he brought in. He brought in Electivire, so his thing there was trying to say, you can't switch into Mantine, right? But he should have gone into Kieran Black instead, because that threatened anything on my team. And I'm not going to bring in Mantine on the Kieran Black ever. I'm not going to bring on the Electivire either, but I mean, I did eventually, which was fun. But that was I think a poor play there at the beginning, that he let me get rid of the hazards, and then they were gone for the rest of the match. And I mentioned that one that I made during the match, and I already forgot what it was. So, not recovering with Reuniclus. Should have done that. I think it was a poor decision that I made, that I didn't do that. But there's always room to grow, especially since it's only week 3. There's still 8 more weeks of the season. The next 2 weeks are going to be a little bit difficult for me, just because I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to Florida for spring break. So it'll be a little bit hectic for me, so you might not see a battle video for a couple weeks, and I might just do 2 at a time. I'm hopefully going to be able to get those battles in at some point next week while I'm gone, but there's no guarantee. I'm going to try my hardest, but there's no guarantee. But I thought it was a good match. Mantine picking up 2 KOs was awesome. Mimikyu, I believe, is now 3-2 overall. In terms of differential, no, 3-1 overall in terms of differential, 2-1 overall, 3-1 overall, 2 KOs in week 1. The biggest problem so far is Tapu Koko. I'm just haven't been able to get stuff going yet with Tapu Koko, but we're getting there. I'm hoping that soon I'll be able to get some stuff going with Tapu Koko. It's been a long season. It's only been 3 weeks, but I'm thinking stuff is starting to finally click, and the team is finally starting to feel nice, and I'm starting to really get the idea of what the team's supposed to be doing, which I'm glad it was quicker than I expected it to be. I thought it would still take a couple more weeks, but I really started to feel it this week thanks to Patrick's help. So Patrick is the legend. He's the Irish legend, my Irish bro. Please, every one of you out there support the best team in Aether, which happens to be, who would have guessed that the best team ever is the Atlanta Altarias. Support them. I know I'm supporting them all the way through, because I can't support Blondito, because that's just stupid. So, guess I gotta support Patrick. So, Patrick, I'm rooting for you, man. But, I'm feeling pretty good following this win. Makes my overall record 1-2 with a -4 differential, which is manageable. I can manage -4. I'm hoping that I can get my record up. Hopefully be 2-2. Hopefully then be 3-2. But we're gonna take 1 week at a time. Speaking of 1 week at a time, next week the match is against Tokelandia and the Portland Timbers, which is the only team that I beat last season. Not that that means anything, because that season was that season, and this season is this season. And Toke has actually been doing pretty well this season. He got a 6-0 this past week, week 2, I think. He got a 6-0, so he's not doing poorly. He's doing pretty well, actually. So I'm a little worried about going up against him, but I have a couple ideas in store and a couple things that I think look pretty good. I don't know when this match is going to happen. Hopefully I'll have the ability to have the match and record the match while I'm with my family down in Florida at some point, if I have time at night when everyone else is not around. Maybe I can record it, but we're going to leave this one here. Good game, Drew. Good luck with the rest of your season. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. And just leave you with this closing remark. Let's do it for Dorkman. Alright, guys. See you next week.